Do you ever wonder how stock blocking could actually become your team's secret weapon on the perimeter? I've ditched the ineffective chair between the legs drills, stopped teaching players to just mirror opponents with their arms behind their back, and I've actually developed a streamlined method that transforms receivers on the edges to relentless blockers. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to teach stock blocking from the ground up. Also, big shout out to Coach Kenny Simpson for hosting me at his Boston Gun Tee Clinic, where this clinic took place. Let's get started.
Okay, so what is your blocking culture? And the reason I want to ask you this, and take a second to think about this, right? Because I know a lot of coaches will have buzzwords and phrases that they use about their blocking culture. For me, this is one thing that I hate. Next slide here. Is I hate the term no block, no rock. Okay, and the reason I hate it is because you're giving kids options. You're essentially saying, if you don't do this, then you don't do this, right? And a kid's gonna find his way to do his least amount of possible, okay, if you just give him the option to. And plus, as a coach, right, if your guy's 6'3", runs a 4.3 on the outside, and it's 14-14 in a fourth quarter ball game, you're not gonna throw him the ball. Of course you're gonna throw him the ball, okay? So I don't ever wanna set the precedent that, here's an option to do this and an option to do this. Okay, so I don't want options, I want standards, okay? And we gotta measure those standards. And this is our standards and how we measure everything, okay? So everything I'm gonna give you guys today, you're gonna be able to look on film and see exactly if you guys are doing it right or you guys are doing it wrong, okay? So first things first is effort, okay? If you don't have effort, all of this essentially means nothing. If your guys are walking off the football and you allow them to walk off the football, fundamentals and attitude mean absolutely nothing, okay? So I really wanna drill that point home because without effort, none of this makes sense. Fundamentals, we're gonna get into the footwork, the handwork, how you strike, all the above, right? And then the next one, I put attitude and I put violence in parentheses. I know violence has a negative connotation to it, and as it should, but for us, like the way I'm thinking of it and teaching my wide receivers, you're either the hammer or the nail, okay? I'm either bringing the party to you, you're bringing it to me. That just is what it is, okay? So for us, like we want to bring the party to them and make sure that on first contact, they know, especially on the defensive side of the football, that we're hitting them, they're not hitting us, okay? And that's the mentality we got to build throughout our entire wide receiver core, from the seniors all the way down to our 8th graders, okay? So let's start with effort here. So how do you measure effort? So this is how we measure effort, all right? First off, I want you to sprint the first 5 yards off the football. So any film that you put on, my receiver should be in a good loaded up stance, set, go. It's a sprint off the football. And I'm gonna show you multiple clips of what I mean by that. Second, if they go the extra mile, now I'm talking about 10, 20, 30, 40 yards downfield, you gotta reward the behavior, okay? If you have a running back that breaks a long run, I want that receiver running foot to foot with him, trying to cut off any receivers, okay? And you gotta reward it. Because I think if you don't reward it, the kids don't know exactly what is good behavior, what's not good behavior, right? Especially with my youth coaches in here, maybe you don't have film sessions, have the kids stand up and publicly call him out, everyone clap. You got to acknowledge it somehow, all right? For us, we have helmet stickers. Most of you high school guys have helmet stickers. We just give them a sticker and slap it on the head if it's good, if they go the extra mile. This I wanted to make sure I covered too. If you have loafs, okay, guys walking off the football, and you have guys that you really can't get through, one thing I'll always do is early on in the season, I'm talking preseason, before the first game, is we'll put it on just in a room like this, or the lecture hall like you guys were just in, and I'll sit there. What's your name, Coach? Brandon. Brandon. So I'll sit there, and let's say Brandon's loafing. I'll look at the film with Brandon, and I'll say, Brandon, why? Why can't you run off the football? Right? And I'll just sit there quiet, just like that, and I got to let him answer. Why can't you run off the football? And 99% of the time, he'll say, I don't know, coach, right? And you got to really put that pressure on the kid in a public setting because he needs to know that this behavior isn't acceptable, right? So I'll say, Brandon, why? And he'll sit there and quiet, and he'll probably sink in his chair a little bit too, right? And you got to ask why, because I do it every year for our guys, right? And we really set the standard that way. But I had a kid come up to me. I said, his name was Tony. I was like, Tony, why? And he's like, Coach, it will never happen again. And he was an awesome kid. Me and him had a great relationship. And then afterwards, all the students left. He stayed after. He goes, Coach, you got me playing corner, man coverage. I'm running up and down the field. You got me, we throw the football about 30, 40 times a game, running up and down the field. He's like, Coach, I'm gassed. He's like, I'm giving you literally everything I possibly have. I'm gassed. Okay? So I asked him why. Now, I could do two things. I could tell him what? Suck it up. right? Run your route, shut up. Or I could listen to him. So what I did was listen to him, and we started to get strategic about how we save our players on the outside. If you want to have receivers that are impactful and that are driving guys out of bounds, to the ground, whatever it may be, right, with effort, attitude, you got to have fresh bodies. So one thing that we started to look at as a coaching staff was, how are we utilizing our first half timeouts? Okay, we never want to go into the first half with all 3 of our timeouts. So what we try to do is divide the game into 6. So for us, we play 12-minute quarters, right? The first 6 minutes, I want to try to use 1 timeout. The second 6 minutes, you'll have your end of your first quarter, which will give them a break. Next 6, I want to try to use a timeout. Next 6 obviously goes into halftime, okay? Which gives you about 1 timeout that's left to spare. I usually give it to the offense. My brother's the offensive coordinator, by the way, so give him that 1 timeout to spare if we need it, okay? Again, strategically, how can I keep him as fresh as possible? That way he's not gassed, and I can get him, obviously, the appropriate amount. Now, we had to take him out, too. He's an impact player on our team. But I had to take him out 1 or 2 plays to gas him back up, okay? And I really wanted to make that point because I think a lot of times as a coach, you see a kid dogging it, and it's just like, stop being soft, or stop being a sissy. It's like, no, like, let's talk to the kid and figure out why he's not giving maximum effort. So that's why when I say why, ask him why. Again, 90% of the time, it's just going to be, I don't know, coach, but it pays to ask why. Coach Chamberlain mentioned Coach Brendan Marion. I love this quote by him. If you haven't seen this already, how you play without the ball determines how much you love your teammates. Yeah. All right, I want you to focus on the wide receiver at the top of the screen, okay? Top of the screen, his name is Mason Jakes. He's playing football at St. Lawrence University next year. Our best receiver, okay? And this is what I'm talking about, effort and building it into your culture. Tunnels away from him. He's not even in the play. But if he doesn't give effort here, he probably gets caught. And again, we had to reward this behavior. Your best receiver, you have to set the standard here with those guys because the younger guys will follow if you do. If not, you try to build it from the bottom up. I found it doesn't work that way. You have to go top down. Next one. Again, I want you to focus on this player right here, bottom of the screen. Again, watch his get off. Again, we're measuring effort, first 5 yards. Get off football, good. Play is away from it. It's wide zone away, okay? But cutting the angle off, getting to him. If that player wants to stop and give himself up, cool. We just want 1 for 1. Perfect. Top of the screen, this is our young pups, okay? This is our JV team. Again, effort, get off the football, yes, first 5 yards. Track them, run them. Okay, we're going to talk about all the fundamentals in a minute, but I wanted to give you guys examples of what I mean by effort. Getting off the football with the first 5 yards. That's where it starts, okay? That's the barrier to entry. Okay, so we're going to break fundamentals into 3 different pieces. We're going to go footwork, we're going to go handwork, and then we're going to go drive/eject, all right? All right, so when I'm talking about footwork, I'm talking about where should my feet be? Now, a lot of coaches will say, you want a wide base, but how do you constitute a wide base, right? For us, I always tell our guys to get in a basketball stance and then get a little bit closer. So if I'm guarding somebody in basketball, I want to be just a little bit closer. Because some guys have narrow shoulders, some guys, like I have broad shoulders, so you're telling me a little bit wider. Like I need to be comfortable. So I always use this for a basketball reference. Understand this, if I have a wide base, it's easy for me to move laterally. If I have a narrow base, it's easy for me to move vertically up and down. If you have a narrow base, you're going to get thrown to the ground. I guarantee if you guys go back and watch your film, anytime your receiver gets thrown to the ground by a defensive back, I can guarantee it's because his feet were like this. All right? We have to widen the base. We have to sink our hips. So if you look here, I just took a picture. This is the drill I'm going to show you in a minute, but that's ideally where we want to be at, is in a good posture. I want my hands striking above my eyes, but the base is everything. I'm going to show you guys a bunch of drills in a minute here too. We have to be based out. So here's just a drill I do with our guys. So again, we'll split them up in the older guys, younger guys. I'm using this shield on the ground just because I want them to deploy their feet as they're running, okay? So I should see this, their hips should sink. And then I'm just standing here. I'll just put my fist out like this, and I just want them to punch it with their hands, okay? Some guys do, some guys don't. I'm fine with it. I just want to see some sort of hand movement come up. And that's all we're looking for. We're just trying to get rep after rep after rep. Okay, but again, the feet are everything, and how I say deploy, because we're going to use some airplane terminology in a minute, but they got to deploy their feet. So you guys saw in the last drill that, again, the shield was about a yard in front of me, and they were deploying their feet. One of the issues we ran into, and you guys might have the same issue as well, is that's not all we have to do, right? And we had to change our mindset a little bit when we're actually trying to stock block, because what happened, this is a very good football player. He's a junior now. He's going to be a senior for us next year. And he was just missing block after block after block. And I couldn't figure out why. Because everything you teach and practice is going to carry over to the game. And if I can have you guys adopt that mindset, it's going to make coaching this position a lot easier, okay? I could just sit here and say, hey, this kid stinks. oh, his stock blocking stinks, he's just not very good. It's like, no, I'm the coach, I got to fix the issue. So what we started to do, go ahead, run it. This is a fancy little jet sweep play we're running, bringing him in motion, tracking him back to the outside. And don't worry about the play, what happens in the middle, but look at him. He overruns it. Right? And I kept thinking to myself, like, why is he overrunning it? So what we did was we went to the lab, we started to look at different things about like how we're teaching this, right? Right? So if you're gonna steal anything from this clinic, steal this, because this has helped us out tremendously. If I'm the play side wide receiver, I'm thinking play to me, I need to chop early. If it's play away from me, I need to cut off the angle. Okay, so now our players know if we're going jet sweep to the right side, I'm getting play to me, I gotta chop my feet early. Like you saw before with Mason, right? That tunnel screen was going away from him. He's thinking cut off the angle. I don't want that player to make a touchdown saving tackle. All right, so we implemented this framework into our guys, and it's not just a run play anymore. Sometimes, when run plays are called, wide receivers will get the line of scrimmage and like, okay, here we go. No, like I want them mentally thinking, it's play to me now. I got to get off and deploy a little bit early. 5-yard sprint, deploy early. That way I can't get beat inside or outside, okay? Okay, so we adjusted this drill a little bit. I added 2 shields here. All right, so the first one was just to get our body used to deploying our legs. Now I'm play 2. Coach here over here is play away, okay? And again, all we're thinking is 5-yard burst off the line of scrimmage, play 2, and then we're trying to chop our feet and deploy early, okay? Again, I gotta have the players feel getting off the ball fast and then getting to that contact point and throwing the hands. Okay, so we're running jet sweep to the left here out of a condensed set. So if you look at number 8, who's got the pink shoes, what's he thinking right now? Jet sweep to my left. Okay, I'll turn and face you guys here. Jet sweep this way, so the ball is gonna hit outside of me, right? So if I run straight at him and chop my feet, he's gonna go outside and probably make the tackle. So what he's thinking is, get off the football and attack that outside shoulder, and then that way I can chip it and run, and then he essentially turns into an offensive lineman running outside zone. Okay, run it. Shoulder, get to the shoulder, good, run the feet. Set the edge of the defense, and the guy ends up falling down. Run it again one more time. And he's thinking, okay, how can I get to this outside shoulder and just run him? And then we got lead blocker with the running back to the outside. Okay, but that framework of play 2, play away kicked in, and he knew that ball was hitting outside of me. I got to get to that outside shoulder. All right, so this is the thought process with hand fighting, okay? I want external rotation as I'm punching. All right, so the best way I frame this for our guys, just to build a visual in their head, is things that rotate obviously move faster, right? If you're throwing a punch, same thing. You rotate inwards. I want external rotation as I'm trying to hit the chest plate. So that's what I'm thinking. It's external rotation. Again, I want to rotate up and through as I'm going to hit the chest plate, all right? Next, I want to grab the chest plate to control. So this is what we talk about running out the club. If I can get knocked back, let's do it. Keep running your feet. Okay, I think too often when we teach stock blocking, it's like you run to it, you chop, and you kind of wait. Like I want to hit with impact, run our feet, and try to run him downfield if I can. And I'll show you guys a couple clips. Like the minute you get this, keep running your feet, don't stop. If you don't, like this is probably about 75% of the time, you'll get that stalemate, right? That's where we got to grab, pull tight. Okay? Also too, and I'll show you guys a couple clips, you have to practice the worst case scenario. We call them disadvantage periods. So I want to put my players at a disadvantage and then have them pull the ripcord when obviously things aren't going our way, okay? Which we're going to talk about the eject phase in just a little bit, okay? But all we're doing right now is I want to get the guys used to putting our hands on shoulder pads, okay? So you're going to see this back line here is going to be our wide receivers. The side, we're just trying to hit different angles, okay? So we're going to get stock blocking straight on. The body's going to turn. We're going to get hands at an angle. They're going to turn the other way. Same thing. Bringing eyes and hands to the shoulder pads. So that way we know where to fit up if the guy's running away from us, running to us. We know how to fit our hands up, okay? And again, it's just whistle, whistle, whistle. Okay, rotate, whistle, whistle. It is a slow down period. But again, I don't want to be in a situation where, we're putting a guy in the ring for the first time to throw a punch and he's never actually put hands on a corner. Now we're going to transition to actually getting off football. So exact drill we do here. Get off 5 yards and then I want to punch. Okay, I thought Terry McLaurin did an awesome job here of just getting off football. You see him widen his base, lower the hips, and then he's striking up and through with his elbows in. Now, I stole this from Coach Dante Scarnecchia. He said the most important person in a drill is the bag holder. Notice how he's holding the bag. Here, right? Do not hold bags like this. If you hold bags like this, what's going to happen when they hit them? Up over the head, okay? So you got to put one hand on top, one hand on the bottom, or like this player here, hug it tight. So that way when they make the impact, okay, it's almost like they're hitting the chest. All right, this is a drill I love. So we call this our chaos drill. This player in the white is defense, okay? The player in front of him is offense. So what we're doing is we're trying to cause as much chaos as possible. The player on the white who's on defense, he's going to grab the top of the shoulder pads of the offensive player, and I'm telling him to violently try to throw him on the ground. What that's going to do is teach your wide receivers how to keep a sturdy base as he's getting pushed left to right. All right, so we can run it here. And you can see he's fighting like hell to try to stay upright. But I want him to keep engaged so that way when he goes out to block, he doesn't just get trashed to the ground. So I wanted to put this clip in here because I think a lot of coaches, when you say, hey, we got to grab, and this kind of plays into the eject stuff too. When you got to grab somebody, there's always a case of what? That you fear holding, right? So this was a few years ago. This player here at the bottom of the screen, awesome player for us. He's playing college ball right now. He got called for like holding 4 or 5 times. And again, I went back to the lab, right? Like, why are we getting called for holding? So let's run this all the way through. This was a very good Dedham team we played. You'll see when the quarterback busted here, it was we were up 21-20, a minute 30 left in the game. This was to ice the game. But watch the receiver. He's holding like a son of a gun, right? Play bus. Look at the scoreboard, 21-20, fourth quarter, minute 30 left. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, he's holding. Why is he holding, right? Well, coach, you're teaching him how to grab. And I'm like, okay, that's true. So we got to have a ripcord or a solution to be able to say, hey, when you start to lose leverage, what's the next step? Okay, so we call this airplane blocking. Okay, and the reason we call it airplane is because it's literally what it is, all right? All we're trying to do is we're trying to get our outside hand to their outside pec to cut off the angle. That's all it is. And it's essentially a way for, I call it pulling the ripcord, but the first parachute doesn't work. We got to go for our emergency, right? So as I'm starting to lose leverage and he starts to work away from me, I need to detach and then go into cutting off the angle, all right? Stab the outside pec. Take your hand, stab it, and start to push. The reason I say don't bring the hip, because what a lot of guys will do is they'll get here and they'll go to block and they'll do this, thinking, hey, I'm good, coach. I just airplaned it, but because they're bringing their hip, you'll probably get called for a crackback. Okay, so arms open, just cut the angle off, and I always tell our guys, protect ourselves too, okay? Make sure you get a little bend in the back, that way you can absorb contact. Don't just be standing upright, because some guys could clean you up, okay? But again, that's what we call an airplane. When we start to lose leverage, start to airplane it up. So we'll practice this, okay? So we have the second slot receiver is gonna be running an out route. This receiver is running a go route, but then putting his foot in the ground and coming back as if he's gonna crack. You guys see it all the time. This is the biggest one where you get, a player who's a little bit maybe undisciplined, just knocks the teeth off of that outside linebacker coming through. Like, I just want to be able to put these guys in situations where if they're going to be in this situation, like, I need to know I got to pull out the parachute and I got to airplane block this thing, okay? So it's a little bit different from losing when they're grabbing, but more of they're in the open field and I don't want to cut this guy off and take his teeth out. So now we'll implement this into our actual route concepts, okay? So this is a switch vert concept we run. If you look at the widest receiver who then turns into the middle receiver here, ball's caught, he doesn't see the guy's face, he immediately tries to airplane block it, okay? So you can turn this drill into live scenarios. Those two guys holding the bag are just injured guys for us. We just had hold the bag. But same thing. How can you work your routes on air period and turn it into a blocking period and try to get as many guys to the point of attack as possible? Because you guys see it all the time, right? Like, guys run routes, we'll turn around for the football and now they're just watching. Well, let's train their mind to actively get engaged with what's going on. All right, let's move on to attitude. So when I talk about attitude, okay, same thing. I want to bring some violence to it. And again, how do you measure violence? So for me, how I'm measuring violence is how much knockback can I get on my initial punch, right? Again, I don't want to just approach, chop, and just gently put my hands on. Like, I want to try to get shoulders and head knocked back, and then that way if I can create some separation space on the outside, it's going to benefit the entire play. All right, so that's how I'm measuring it, is that first initial punch. Bam, when you hit it. All right, second, if I'm finishing the block, does it result in putting him on his back or just blocking to the whistle? That's how I'm measuring it. So that way, Like you saw that run bust to the outside and that player just squared him up. Like I don't need to throw guys out of bounds, okay? And I really want to make that point. Like I'm not trying to be dirty here because I think when you hear violent, you think dirty, you think nastiness. No, I'm trying to be legal, okay? But within the confines of the game. So when I block him, I want to go to the whistle. And if I can, especially at the youth level too, like where's the best player playing? Probably safety corner, right? How can I exhaust their best player? How can I get on him first and second quarter so by the third and fourth quarter his legs are junk because he's been fighting with the wide receiver the entire time? Okay, so that's why I always say exhaust their best player, don't make it dirty, but also I want to finish with some intent and be violent with it. Okay, so this is a drill we do here. So you can see as he's approaching contact, like see that shoulder come up, head come up, like that's what I'm talking about, violent knockback there is sink the hips, up and through, and then once you feel him moving back, keep running your feet, right? That's the big point here is, again, a lot of times it's going to be a stalemate, but what does it feel like when I do get a good piece of him and I can run my feet, okay? Let's keep running him. Let's teach him how to run it. So again, just going to our young pups, and again, I show these guys our clips preseason, that way they understand the standard that we have as far as getting off the football. So these two players here, this one gets some pretty good knockback, and he's not dirty about it. He does a good pop, he puts the guy on his butt, and then he waits to clean him up once he gets back up, okay? Perfectly legal. This is a great clip. Number 11, same thing. He's running off the football, top of the screen, running off the football. These are all sophomores and freshmen here. Play it. Slot receiver, though, at the bottom of the screen is where you're going to get the biggest impact, okay? He felt it. Keep running his feet. Get up. We're not dirty. So these guys, we're going for a 2-point conversion here, guys. Receivers typically what? Just walk off the football. It's 2-point conversion. But like I had it so built into these guys' brains, like you got to sprint 5 yards off the football. 2-point conversion here. You can run it. Okay? Watch the outside player here. We're running power up the middle. He's completely irrelevant to this play. Right? He came back laughing. He's like, Coach, I just ran him to the cheerleaders. Okay? Slot receiver here, same thing. Bottom of the screen. Get off the football. I don't care what down it is. I don't care if we're going for 2, whatever it may be. Get off the football as fast as you can and play with some violent intent. Okay, this is one of my favorite clips here. Just guys being, I guess, mentally trained that we can't take plays off. We have to get off the football. This is I think my favorite play of all time, and just one that I truly think it defines what this kid's about, but also just mentality-wise, so there's no stopping once the play starts, all right? So they're double covering him, as they should be. This is Chris Domike. He's one of our best players, one of the best players in Massachusetts at the time when he was playing, okay? So they're double covering him. We're running a screen to the right side, meaning he's just got to run off the guy or get him, off the football. That way we can run the screen. I'm going to run this play fully, and then I'll show you another angle of it. Again, it's one of my favorite plays. But it just shows you, it ain't done yet. We got both, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just again, just impact-wise, it's like, don't stop. If you can get one and he gets back up, good. Let's go get another one. Good, and run it back. Let's go to the end zone view of this. Okay, left side here, same play. Square up. He's got knockback, good. Run the feet. Get back up, sees plays coming, reload it. Run the feet again, okay? Again, just violent intent. Violent intent. It's the attitude, right? It's effort. That's all this is. But you got to have the fundamentals on top of both of them. Because if not, again, this isn't dirty. This is 100% clean. But again, it's the will to want to do it. And because he loves his teammates, he's able to do it. I hope he